So Freddie Gibbs just recently took a shot at J. Cole. You might have seen that on social media. And it was around the time when J. Cole dropped Clouds, right? But aside from the shot, this has kind of brought up a conversation about catalog and the argument that Freddie Gibbs actually has as one of the best hip-hop catalogs out there, but also that it's potentially superior to Cole's. So you guys have any thoughts on that?
Jay Moore, this is right up your alley. This is a classic. Put the CDs on the table, sir. Since that's one of the things that you coined, would you like to go first?
Sure.
I know I already have my answer.
No, I mean, because I had to think about this, we kind of workshopped it earlier in the week. And at one point, partially because like I've enjoyed Gibbs' most recent output so much.
Right.
At first I was like, well, I think maybe it's true. But I was like, no, I have to still give the edge to J. Cole.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, when we have these conversations, it seems like, if you go with one person, you're slighting the other. That's not me trying to slight Freddie Gibbs, because like I said,
have great catalogs.
Especially it's the stuff recently. Like I listened to those Gibbs albums front to back, but also, I remember when I went out and bought those J. Cole. That's how long J. Cole's been around. It's like I went out and bought physical copies of his CDs from
Gibbs
Best
too,
Buy.
He's been around long too, longer than people.
This is true, because but I think part of his, I don't want to say stunted growth, or like he doesn't get the props he deserves because he was stuck with Jeezy for all that time and didn't really get a lot done.
But it wasn't really that long.
No, it wasn't that long. With you.
That Jeezy was like a cup of coffee or something like that.
It might have been a year or two.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know
It
why
wasn't that long.
It seemed longer than that. But like once Gibbs really got into his bag and figured out, for all the gangsta Gibbs, whatever, that he is a rapping ass dude and he needs to get with people who can make the beats for people who actually want to MC. And that's where he got off with, doing the Mad Lib and Alchemist. Like that was his bag right there.
Yeah.
But J. Cole, man, he had albums. He has albums rather, to where, I'm thinking, I went back and started re-listening to J. Cole this week because I think we've talked about him a lot. Yeah. Especially when in reference to Kendrick and the battle, if you will, and how he gracefully bowed out, which I'm not mad. And I think we talked about him so much in relation to other artists that we forgot about who Cole was as a singular artist. And so like, that's why I had to go back and revisit his catalog. And, like I said, he's been consistent over a long period of time at this point. And so has Gibbs, but I think I have to give it to, at this point, and these are still artists that, they haven't fallen off in my eyes. They still do records and not just records, but
they still make good music.
They create entire projects that I like. And so right now, if to coin my, my own term, if I put the CDs on the table, I have to go ahead and in the mixtapes or whatever you want to call it. Because to me, at this point, when we talk about mixtapes, we talk about albums too. Like that's what it is.
For sure.
I still have to go ahead and give it to J. Cole, even though I love Gibbs. Like I said, I'm not trying to slight him at all or take sides in a battle, but that's just where I'm at.
I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, I'm going Gibbs. When I think of Cold Day in Hell, Babyface Killer, ESGN, right? Then you got Pinata, Shadow of a Doubt, You Only Live Twice, Freddie, Fetty, Bandana, Alfredo with Alchemist and Currency. Was that the one? No, that was Fetty, Alfredo, and then Soul separately. Bruh, he's got, especially in the last decade, he's got zero misses.
Is that why you wear your LRG shirt?
Maybe.
Remember he had that album that was sponsored by LRG?
Yeah, for sure.
That. Yeah.
Was it a mixtape though or something?
I think Cold Day in Hell was sponsored.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and granted, I think there's a little bit of Midwest bias in my, and that's one thing that I was going to, depend on where you guys lean in this way, I was going to see, is there some Midwest bias in here or not? Because I don't know, I think there probably is for me a little bit, because I've been following Gibbs for a very long time. I mean, even to, like, if we're going to get even down to the nitty gritty, like you were literally in college on the same building that he was at the same time, right?
Yeah, same floor.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you produced for him in like 2008, 9, 8, 7,
11, 12.
No, it wasn't
10, 11.
Because I remember 9. It was the breakout.
Because he played me records off Cold Day in Hell before it came out.
Yeah, but it was a long. But I'm just saying, like, there's definitely some bias in there for us, and from that perspective. But and obviously we're in Indiana, and he's arguably the largest hip hop artist that's ever come out of Indiana.
Still claims Chicago.
That claims Chicago, right? But no, I think when it comes down to just sheer listenability, and I can put it on and play it front to back, I just know Gibbs' material way more than I know Cole's.
I would have, and I'll be honest, I would have said J. Cole probably up until about the Mad Lib phase. Mm-hmm. Once for sure. I saw the Mad Lib stuff, because I didn't see that coming. Him as an artist, I could see it happen, but I didn't see it coming. So when that happened and it worked twice, knocked it out the park twice, and I go back to some of those mixtapes like Straight Killer, No Filler, well, that is what I just say, Cold Day in Hell, Babyface Killer, these are all dope mixtapes. Back when mixtapes were still mixtapes.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Cole, obviously, he had Friday Night Lights, and there was, I'm kind of going back and forth between both of them, but overall, man, especially with Gibbs, like Jay Morris alluded to, of late, we'll call it the second half of what he's been doing, I just think top to bottom is just, I'm going to go alone on this one. I got to go Gibbs, just for what I choose to listen to and how it flows and the product itself. No, like I said, no knock on Cole, because I love J. Cole. I'm not saying he's a better rapper. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about the CDs on the table. I got to go Gibbs, man. I think his catalog is one of the most underrated catalogs in hip hop, like ever. Damn near ever, if not ever. Like it's that good to me. So yeah, I'm going Gibbs.
Yeah, it's interesting to see these two together, because like I'm a big J. Cole fan. Like minus how much I rock with Freddie Gibbs. Yeah. And I've never put them together side by side.
Me either.
To be able to be like, well, who's better?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I would say I really don't know, man. Because when I'm thinking about when I came into listening to J. Cole, I actually was listening to J. Cole before I was listening to Kendrick. Mm-hmm. And then Kendrick kind of took his position. But I never put Gibbs with any of them for some reason. I don't know. And it may be because his genre isn't the same, so to speak. I think he kind of evolved. He evolved into what can be considered like back trap, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, he has the boom bap style beats with the street lyrics, gangster lyrics, or whatever.
That's a good point.
And it just fits a different pocket for me. So like it itches that scratch, whereas J. Cole does something different. So I don't know. It's kind of the
I
not to say that they're both, not to say they're Biggie and Tupac, but like I can never pick. Like I gravitated towards Pac because Pac to me was the heart. He was the heart, the poet, you know what I'm saying? Biggie was more so the not the brain, but he was able to structure lyrics differently. But I felt what Tupac was saying. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to Gibbs and Cole, I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the fence.
I think another important piece to this probably when we're just talking about timing is that Gibbs came into his stride later than what Cole did.
Right. Yeah.
Like Pinata didn't drop till 2014. Mm-hmm. So
and that's
Cole was already, and granted, he was dropping tons of. Yeah. I mean, we blogged, so he was dropping records all the time with all. You know, he had features all over the place. Yeah. You know, so he was doing his thing. And in that, that was the Jeezy era, short lived and all that stuff too. But Cole really was established by the time.
Like Gibbs started getting his shine. Yeah, I feel granted, like Gibbs was getting his shine because I mean his music is on one of the Grand Theft Auto radio stations. Mm-hmm. Plus, so people have heard Gibbs even if they didn't rock with Gibbs at the time. J. Cole essentially, I mean, he got the cosign from Jay.
Yeah,
so that didn't hurt.
No,
in no way, shape, or form. And his first studio album was pushed. Whereas Freddie Gibbs never had that. You know what I'm saying? He pretty much is somebody talking about grinding from the bottom. He literally grinded from the bottom. Yeah. The first time I heard of Freddie Gibbs CD, I actually met his crew at Black Expo. They was at Black Expo passing out his music. That was my introduction to Freddie Gibbs. I think that was the was it Live from Gary or?
Yeah, I remember Live from Gary.
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, so that's the first time I really got hip to Freddie Gibbs.
And when you think about Cole, like the Come Up, the Warm Up, Friday Night Lights, that's all
around the same time.
That's 2010 pre. Like he had 3 super solid,
But I was hip to J. Cole, like that Piff era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's before the Friday Night Lights. That's like the come up and
the warm up.
I mean, and stuff like that.
Both of them.
Because both of these guys are double XL. Top, what they used to be, the freshman list? Or,
they were both on it.
I don't know if it was together, but they both were double XL, whatever the freshman list. They may have been on the same cover. I'm not sure. I think Gibbs is on there with Nip, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So J. Cole, J. Cole, Pill.
Yep.
Nipsey Hussle, Freddie Gibbs, Big Sean, Wiz Khalifa, OJ, the Juice Man, J. Rock, Fashawn, and Donis.
I would thought so. Yep.
It's always interesting when you go back and
that's 2010.
The people who just people believed in, but it was like, no, sorry, Donis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I think about it, though, when I'm looking at their releases, I can honestly say, as a hip hop fan, that J. Cole's stuff grabbed me from a hip hop angle until Freddie started messing with Madlib. Mm-hmm. Now, and even when I look at their releases, and it comes down to who has more classic material as far as a full release from top to bottom, Gibbs might have Cole in that area as far as listenability, as far as from top to bottom. But as an overall artist, I think J. Cole probably takes the crown as far as that's concerned.
He's got some X factors.
He has X factors, and he's able to do the crossover thing in order to get his stuff heard. Mm-hmm. So that's the edge I would give Cole. But I mean, it's not by much, man. I mean, Freddie's using his star power in acting and movies and things like that, which Cole doesn't have.
Yeah.
So
and he's funny.
Yeah. So we're what? I think we're 2-2 on this one. Me and you, and then okay.
What was it? Hype? Was it propaganda that we just we even said Kendrick, Drake, and Cole as the big three? It was like, well, why didn't we ever think to put these other people?
I think we.
Why? I mean, there's a reason why. Because
but also
I don't even know where it came from, to be honest.
Drake had, but I think about Drake had Universal Machine, Young Money, Kendrick for all
the Machine. I think that's the X factor
because
here.
Kendrick, remember that's Interscope. There was no bigger machine than Interscope at one point, and Dr. Dre, and then you talk about Cole is Jay-Z.
All three of them have big co-signers behind them.
And pretty much that cosign. Also with the machine, like Freddie didn't have that.
Nah.
Even when you talk about the Jeezy era, that's not the same as the people that I mentioned.
Right, he was in a video.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah,
There's a difference between Jay-Z or Dr. Dre walking you into these buildings and saying, okay, we're going to put a certain level of resources behind this individual.
I remember he was in dealings with Interscope.
Early on.
Early back then.
Like 2005 or something.
But that I say that to say that's where I give him his P's, because for him to be able to go out and make the records that he made without everything that we just talked about, and to consistently turn around and do that, and for it to make its way to people so people could hear it, that's just impressive to me.
And however, I don't know how it came about that he ended up working with Madlib, but that
right there
was such a pivotal.
Yeah.
It's like similar in the same sense of like Killer Mike and LP working together. It was just like it fused two different worlds and it just married so well together. Kind of took Freddie down an interesting path of going from Madlib to Alchemist as well.
Yeah.
And doing stuff with him. And then he would dip back and, then he's got some records with, K Tronada and Bad, Not Good. And, like You Only Live Once or You Only Die Twice, whatever. It's one of my favorite ones that he's done, So
that project's dope.
He's never really lost. I don't know. It's really good, but I've definitely enjoyed Freddie Gibbs' stuff.
The whole reason we're talking about this is because Gibbs has been poking at J. Cole.
Right. No, for sure.
True.
He has been.
What I'm saying?
He's been taking shots at him, low key. Yeah. So
it's kind of
not lyrically though.
Not lyrically. Just kind of like
poking the bear.
Yeah. Let me see what this might do. But I mean, it makes for a good conversation as far as comparison, because to me, I don't know. It's kind of like apples to oranges when I compare them. It's like listening to two different genres of hip hop. In my personal opinion.
And I think that's kind of like when I break everything kind of down. The way that I look at this is I always try my best. Again, I talked about getting older and becoming more mature, right? I try my best it's literally written on my board over there. You know, it's like artists are people. And I try my best not to compare art. Like I try my best because when it comes down to it, Freddie Gibbs is making one particular style of hip hop art.
Right.
J. Cole is making another style of hip hop art. And sometimes that competition element that gets sprinkled in there, like it's a competition, I feel like kind of like puts this shadow over these two artists that are making their own individual arts, and this whole
really
new
good at it.
and this whole new narrative forms out of this competition when it doesn't even exist in the first place.